This hearing gave us a sharp look at the core question: will the Justice Department remain independent or be bent by politics? Senator Amy Klobuchar pressed the nominee for Attorney General on everything from frontline prosecutors to drug pricing laws, the FBI, and even reproductive rights enforcement. And the answers? They revealed both reassurances and some real tension. Let's break it all down.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. We had a good meeting this week. Thank you for that. And I appreciated your priorities on human trafficking that you mentioned today, that work, as well as fentanyl and some of your other prosecution experience. We had some similar backgrounds in doing that. And I want to talk about, first of all, the U.S. Attorney's Office in Minnesota, one of the premier offices in the country. This office has been instrumental in combating violent crime, dismantling street gangs, taking fentanyl off our streets, enforcing civil rights laws after George Floyd's murder, ensuring victims of fraud get justice. Do you agree that it should be a priority to support U.S. attorneys, frontline prosecutors, and case agents who work hard every single day on our streets?
Senator, I think that is one of the most important things in our country right now, and there are so many good men and women within the Justice Department throughout our country, as well as all the law enforcement agencies. Yes, they work very hard and they will be supported.
I'm concerned about some of the proposals that could put cuts in the COPS program, burn JAG programs. I know you're familiar with those. Senator Murkowski and I lead the COPS reauthorization bill. Will you commit to continue to support those programs?
Senator, I will read everything about those programs because that is a top priority of mine, and I would love to meet with you on that and Senator Murkowski to support law enforcement and those programs.
Thank you. Independence from political interference is vital to the legitimacy and success of the Department of Justice. I was honestly troubled by some of the answers to Senator Durbin's questions. We will continue that discussion, I'm sure, on the committee about the election. But I want to focus on the investigation, charging decisions. As a prosecutor, I'm sure you had this experience. I would get calls from people, hey, that's just a kid, give him a break. And I remember one answer I gave was, he's 40 years old, he's not a kid. But that kind of interference is attempted all the time. And one of my concerns here, whether it's a call from a friend, a corporate lobbyist, a White House, it has been very clear that the attorney generals of both parties have established clear policies to ensure the White House doesn't tamper with criminal investigations and prosecutions. At Attorney General Mike McCasey's hearing, he made clear that any attempt by the White House, and these are the words, to interfere with a case is not to be countenanced. Any call to a line assistant or to a United States attorney from a political person relating to a case is to be cut and curtailed. Do you agree with this statement?
Senator, yes, I believe that the Justice Department must be independent and must act independently. The number one job is to enforce the law fairly and even-handedly, and that's what will be done if I am confirmed as the Attorney General.
So you will provide an assurance to every member of this committee that the Justice Department will only follow the facts and the law, and the White House will play no role in cases investigated or brought?
Senator, it will be my job, if confirmed as Attorney General, to make those decisions. Politics will not play a part. I've demonstrated that my entire career as a prosecutor, as Attorney General, and I will continue to do that if you confirm me as the 87th Attorney General of the United States of America.
In an earlier question, some of my colleagues talked about China and the risk, yet you have a nominee from this incoming administration, Kash Patel, the pick to head the FBI, have serious concerns about him, has referred to the FBI's Intel Division, which is responsible for protecting us from foreign adversaries like China, as, quote, the biggest problem the FBI has had, and he said that he wants to, quote, break that component out of the FBI. Do you agree?
I have not seen those comments from Mr. Patel. We can to protect our country. Again, Mr. Patel would fall under me. and the Department of Justice, and I will ensure that all laws are followed, and so will he.
Okay. There are many decisions made by the FBI director, having seen a number of them do their work, that can be made. While I agree you would be the boss of Kash Patel, I'm not sure that you would be able to intervene with every decision or position that he had or know what he's doing. So let's continue. Do you agree it is a duty of the Justice Department to defend the laws Congress passes? And will you commit to do even when the president may disagree with an act campaigned against its passage or called for its repeal? President Reagan's AG, William French Smith, said the department policy was the department has the duty to defend an act of Congress whenever a reasonable argument can be made in its support. So I'm specifically referring to the 2022 law that I long led that we passed to empower Medicare to negotiate drug prices, major savings for seniors. Will you commit to defend the law against the lawsuits from Big Pharma?
Senator, I was involved in Big Pharma cases when I was Attorney General of the state of Florida, and I will commit to protect the laws of the United States of America.
Okay, thank you. That would also, same question, with the Supreme Court is going to be hearing a challenge to the Affordable Care Act's coverage of preventative services. And despite the fact that you twice joined suits to have the entire Affordable Care Act invalidated, will you commit to defending this law?
Yeah, I believe this is very different. It's a very isolated, it's different. It's not the entire Affordable Care Act, but I will, it's pending litigation, of course, within the department.
Since the 1990s, the Freedom of Access to Clinic Entrances Act has protected patients, providers, and facilities that provide reproductive health services. Will you commit to continuing to enforce the FACE Act to address violence and threats against those providing reproductive health care services?
Senator, the FACE Act not only protects abortion clinics, but it also protects pregnancy centers and people going for counseling. The law should be applied even-handedly. Yes, Senator.
So you'll uphold the enforcement of that law?
I'll uphold the enforcement of the law, Senator.
Okay, and I will ask my antitrust questions in the next round. We had a good discussion about that, and I do appreciate the nominee that has been put in place for the antitrust division, and there's incredibly important work that has to be done in that division. So
Gail
thank
Slater
you.
is remarkable. Thank you.
Thank you.
I thank all of my colleagues for abiding by the 7-minute
Senator
rule.
Klobuchar began by grounding the discussion in her home state of Minnesota, reminding everyone that the U.S. Attorney's Office there has been a national leader in fighting violent crime, dismantling gangs, addressing fentanyl, enforcing civil rights after George Floyd's murder, and protecting fraud victims. This framing wasn't just local pride. Klobuchar was drawing a contrast: strong, independent federal prosecutors on the ground versus political meddling from above. It set the stage for her central concern: protecting the Justice Department from interference. She asked directly, "Will you commit to supporting frontline prosecutors and agents who work daily to keep Americans safe?" The nominee answered yes, emphasizing that these men and women work tirelessly and must be supported. From there, Klobuchar pivoted to the COPS and Burn JAG programs, federal grants that put more officers on the streets and support local law enforcement. She pressed, "Will you defend these programs against proposed cuts?" The nominee said it was a top priority and promised to work with her. Here, Klobuchar was building a bipartisan bridge. By tying federal support directly to public safety, she made it politically costly for the nominee or the administration to retreat from law and order commitments. But the heart of her questioning came next: political independence. She shared her experience as a prosecutor, getting calls from friends or lobbyists asking for a break on a case, and stressed that the same pressure can come from the White House. She reminded the nominee that past attorneys general of both parties have drawn a bright red line: no interference from the White House in prosecutions. The nominee agreed, saying the Justice Department must be independent, fair, and even-handed. On paper, this is the right answer. But Klobuchar wasn't satisfied with a soundbite. She wanted a guarantee: will you assure every member of this committee that prosecutions will follow facts and law without White House involvement? The nominee doubled down: politics will not play a part. That's been my entire career. But then came the twist: the Kash Patel question. Klobuchar raised concerns about Patel, nominated to lead the FBI, who once called the Bureau's intelligence division responsible for tracking threats from China and other adversaries the biggest problem and suggested breaking it out of the FBI. The nominee sidestepped, saying he hadn't seen the comments but would ensure laws are followed. This was revealing. By refusing to directly confront Patel's statement, the nominee avoided criticizing a fellow nominee, but at the cost of looking evasive. Klobuchar's concern was clear. Independence is not just about the Attorney General's office, but also about who runs the FBI day to day. Klobuchar then turned to defending the laws of Congress even when the president disagrees. She cited Reagan's Attorney General, William French Smith, who made it DOJ policy to defend acts of Congress so long as a reasonable argument exists. She pressed on specifics: Medicare drug price negotiations, opposed by Big Pharma; the Affordable Care Act, under renewed challenge; the FACE Act, protecting patients, providers, and facilities that offer reproductive health services. On all three, the nominee committed to defend the law and enforce it fairly. These answers were designed to reassure Democrats. But Klobuchar cleverly reminded everyone that the nominee once supported lawsuits seeking to overturn the entire ACA. By highlighting that history, she planted doubt about whether today's promises would hold when politically inconvenient. Finally, Klobuchar signaled she'll return in the next round to antitrust enforcement, a major area given rising concentration in big tech and beyond. So what did we see here? Senator Klobuchar pressed hard on two fronts: protecting the DOJ from White House interference and making sure laws passed by Congress on drug prices, healthcare, and reproductive rights are vigorously defended. The nominee's answers struck the right notes, but sidesteps on Kash Patel and the Affordable Care Act left lingering doubts. What do you think? Was this a genuine commitment to independence or just political polish? Drop your thoughts in the comments. And if you want more sharp breakdowns of these high-stakes confirmation hearings, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you don't miss the next deep dive.